Hello, I'm Ben Shaw from Ben Shaw Training Limited. We're a driver training school based in Burnley, Lancashire, and this video is just to show you a little bit about one of the vehicles that we've got here, one of the these DAFs that we've got, DAF LF. It's a 13 tonner. I'm going to show you around it. If you were doing your category C test, this is one of the vehicles you'll be driving with us. You've obviously, if you get into this stage where you're driving this, you must have done your medical, your LGV medical, which is gives you the provisional entitlement. Then you also need to pass your two theory tests, which are your multiple choice and your hazard perception. If you're doing your driver CPC initial qualification tests as well, you obviously should have done your extra theory test, which is your module 2, your driver driving CPC theory test. Once you've got all that in place, then you can come to us, get behind the wheel. All right. So this vehicle I'm going to show you here is one that we use on a regular basis. We've got a few of these. I'll just put my cap cam on and then you can see what I can see. Like I say, it's a 13 ton of this. It's a perfect size for our job. It looks a bit like a 7.5 tonner, and I'll be honest with you, it is kind of based on a 7.5 ton chassis, so it's quite light. If you look at the wheel nuts here, this vehicle's got 8 wheel nuts, whereas a normal 7.5 tonner would have only 6 wheel nuts. This has got heavier duty brakes, heavier duty axles and wheel hubs. If you look at our Volvo here, this has got, it's an 18 tonner, it's got 10 wheel studs on each wheel. Depending on how heavy the vehicle's rated at, that's the sort of wheels you'd have. Now this vehicle, if you're doing your module 4 CPC test, your practical demonstration test, and you're doing it in this vehicle, the purpose of this video is to walk around and give you a bit of an idea, so that before you come to us to do this, you've got a good idea of where everything is on the vehicle. We'll start at the front. I think we'll open the front grille up. It just pulls. It's on 2 little catchers there and there. Now under this bonnet you've got your coolant level. You've got mini and maxi, obviously minimum and maximum for your coolant, that's your water for your radiator. You've also got your screen wash there, you can see the level of that. You've got the dipstick and the oil filler for the engine oil. That's your foot valve. You can see all the air lines that are running from there, so when you press your foot brake, that sends all the air down there to your brakes. If you were doing your module 4 test, you'd be searching in here as well for any drugs or any contraband, anything hidden, any packages hidden under there. Then just close that down, just push it down, keep hold of it, don't let it twang down and rattle shut. You've got a little bit of a step here. You've also looking there for packages. Alright, you can look everywhere. Got little handles there, so if you stand, put your feet on there, stand up, you can reach anything if you're trying to clean or scrape ice, or if you clean that mirror there. You've got that mirror there. That's your bumper mirror. That's for looking down on the front, make sure you're not hitting anything. You've also got extra mirrors around here on all trucks. You've got the main mirror, the wide angle mirror to give you coverage of the blind spot on this passenger side. You've also got the curb mirror that looks down to the floor, so you can see if you're touching the curb or you're going to hit anything. On the inside, I'll just take my cap off and I'll show you, if you can just read that. Gross weight is 13 ton. Train weight with the trailer on is 16.5 ton. Axle number 1 is your front axle, which is 5 ton. Axle number 2, 9.44. Obviously that's a lot stronger because it's got the twin wheels at the back, but I'll show you that shortly. You got the length on here as well, 9.2 meters, width 2.5 meters. Year of manufacture, this one is, even though it's got private reg on, it's 2011. Also the other information is the model number and then the VIN as well, the vehicle identification number, and the vehicle reg as well. So you'd be expected to read and be able to understand that on your module 4 test. You've also got all that information on here as well, which is the design, you know, DAF trucks there, but this is the UK government's plate, the BTG6 plate. What you've also got up here, let's have a climb on in and have a bit of a look round. You've got your digital tacho up the top there, you've got a few little cubby holes, a few little controls. I'll show you them from the other side in a little while. The gear stick, it's automatic, there's no clutch pedal. handbrakes there, parking brakes there. You'd also have to look in any little cubby holes like here for any packages. You'd also need to look under there. We've got a few tools and things under there, but that is somewhere where somebody could hide something. You could also behind the seat there. When you're checking your tyres, minimum tread depth for a truck tyre is 1mm over that central 3/4. If it's wearing a little bit on the edge, I mean this is a steer tyre, but if it was wearing on the edge that would be okay, but as long as the central 3/4 all the way around are in good condition. The side walls there, no cuts, no bulges, no cord showing through. This strengthening cord in there to give the tyre wall some strength. Make sure there's no metal cord showing through. You'd also check the pressures are set to the manufacturer's guidelines. You know, you just have a visual check basically and just see what it looks like. If you weren't sure, you'd get it checked by it's like a tyre pressure gauge. That's a cab tilting mechanism. You kind of put a bar in there, pump it up, and that tilts the cab up so the mechanics can get to the engine. Works very similar to a bottle jack. You turn one way for up, one way for down. You just pump it until it locks down. This is your AdBlue tank. AdBlue it's like an extra liquid that you've got to carry, and it squirts it into the exhaust, and it dampens down the exhaust gases. Lots and lots and lots of diesel vehicles have got AdBlue now. This is the diesel tank. Can't really see in there, but you just put the nozzle in, obviously, just like a normal vehicle there. Lock that up. It's a plastic tank. That plastic tanks are better. They don't corrode, so they last longer. They don't look cool. You can't shine them up to a mirror finish, but we're not bothered about that. This is a side loading door. These DAFs that we've got at the moment, they were carpet delivery vehicles, so they could put the rolls of carpet on from the back, and then they could load pallets like laminate flooring or them floor tiles from the sides, and they could still get unloaded. So good versatile vehicle for that company that used to own it before we bought it. These are your back wheels. Obviously these are drive tyres. They've got more tread to get the grip when you're turning. There's two of them. You can just about see the inner one. Same again, 8 wheel studs. Your mats on the back as well. These are your spray suppression mats. They get dirty this time of year. You really need to clean them off, so that needs a bit of a clean up, does that. Got the back of the vehicle, obviously we've got the L plates on. Registration plates up there, you've got the lights up the top there as well. Also got to make sure that your number plate light works when you're checking your lights. Let's have a look in the back. So to open this up, open that, flick that over, push it up. We just carry a couple of spares. They haven't got wheel rims on, but it's for when we're needing them. We've got them just chucked in the back there. We've got 5 IBCs loaded in the back. These tanks are 1,000 litre tanks. 1,000 litres is 1,000 kilograms. So the DVSA want us to have 5 tonne in the back. There's actually 6 IBCs there. The front one's empty. That just keeps the weight back off that front axle, so it's not putting too much weight on the front axle. You can usually tell when you're overloaded a bit on the front. The mud flaps scrape on the floor when you're cornering. Got the fiberglass roof up there. That, if you were doing your driver CPC module 4, you'd be checking for the outline of an immigrant hiding on the roof, gripping on for dear life. I don't like his chances, but that's desperate people. So you'd have to open this up on the test. If when you're doing your driving test the examiner asks you if your vehicle's loaded securely, we've bolted down these angle irons in this one, and we've got the ones at the front strapped down, so yeah, the load's secure. We've got the load centralised so that it doesn't roll. If you put them side by side, they will fit side by side, but when you're cornering they don't half lean, so it's better to have the load down the centre where possible. Obviously you can only do what you can only do, but that's what we've done for this because we're driving around with these all day every day, so we don't want it rolling too much on the corners. pull this down. Put that in. It's just got a little catch there just to give it a bit of a slam. There we are. So we're going down this side. So you can see the springs there as well. See the suspension. This is on steel springs, leaf springs. Now, because it's loaded, and it's loaded nicely, it's fairly level is that. If it was empty, it'd be smiling. The wheel arch would be higher. The mud flaps would be higher from the ground. If you were overloaded, the spring would be in like a frowny sort of face. It'd be overloaded. And that's how the police know whether you're overloaded or not. The wheel arch there, the mud guard, would be a lot lower to the closer to the tyre, and also the mud flaps would be scraping on the floor because it'd be overloaded. Also, your tyres would be bulging a little bit as well. They're designed just right, just to, you know, but if it was bulging, it could be overloaded. What else have we got? Another loading door at this side. We've got these bolted shut, these side ones, because we never open them, so we have them bolted shut. This is your battery box. If you don't know much about trucks, trucks run on a 24 volt system, so all the bulbs, you couldn't take the bulb out of this and use it in your car. It wouldn't work. So there's two batteries under there, and they're linked together in, oh, I can never remember. One's in parallel and one's in series. So one's, I can't remember which way it is now, but when it's one way, it gives you 2 times 12 volt, which gives you 24 volts, or it gives you twice as much, 12 volts. So it just makes your battery twice as big basically, but these are 24 volts. All trucks are 24 volts. Alright, we're back round to the front again, so obviously more tyres. Got the vehicle reg on the front, lights and everything. So these are all what you check, your wipers and all that sort of stuff. If you're not familiar with trucks, like I say, a lot of it's very similar to cars. When you're climbing in, make sure you do your 3 points of contact. Oh, it's cold out there, it's trying to snow. So let's start the engine up. So I'll just take my cap off and you can see a little bit. Just turn the fan off. So the fan for the heat, windscreen, but I've just turned it off because it's making a noise. Here you've got your speedo. The inner one is miles per hour, the outer one's kilometres. You've got your fuel gauge, which has got about a quarter of a tank in this at the moment. Your AdBlue gauge, which is what the little tank that I just showed you for the emissions, that's just less than half. Air pressure, if I start pressing the brake now, that goes down because the engine's not running, it's not pumping the compressor. Clock, obviously, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. 1 degree, yeah, it's cold. Water temperature for your coolant. The engine's not been running, so that's going to be low. And this is your rev counter. Now, because it's automatic, you don't really have any control over the revs. It'll change up a gear if it wants to. That's your gear stick there. I'll start the engine up actually, and we'll build that pressure back up again. Oh. There's no point in turning the heater on yet because the temperature's still down. It'll need to be run for 5 or 10 minutes before it starts to warm up. So we've got the side lights there. Let's put all the lights on now, lights it up a bit. Headlights, the main beam's on there, so we'll turn that off. You've got your fog light switch there, switch that on. That up there, the horn works. That's the fog light. You'd use your fog lights if visibility was less than 100 metres. On the steering wheel, you've got your retarder on or off. If we switch that on, it puts a little symbol on the computer there, and that closes a flap so that when you're driving down the hills and you put that on, it helps slow you down. It also tells the computer to change down a gear so that there's more revs. That's what the blue band is there, by the way. So the green band's the economy band, but when the rev counter right round there, that means the retarder or the exhaust brake is working at its best. So higher revs the better that works, which I know doesn't make sense because you always want low revs so you're not wasting fuel, but when you're going down a hill you're not using any fuel anyway, so it's just the engine braking slowing you down. Let's turn the fog light off, shall we? Wipers, straightforward enough, there's nothing too complicated there. Pull them to give it a squirt. I'm feeling that water was just frozen up the line a little bit. Indicators, straightforward enough. Flashing your light for your main beam. Hazard lights over there, just put your hazards on. Oh, moved away from the steering wheel. We've got a few little controls here. You've got your cruise control, or you can set it to stop it from going over a certain speed, which is quite handy in certain speed limits, like on motorways that are down to 50, say for instance, with average speed cameras. Switch on you know, max it out at 50, then you can't speed. This one here will actually, if we press this now, just watch the rev counter, we're on about 700 revs there, and I'm just going to press this with my finger, and that's going to build the tick over up. I'm not touching the accelerator. So if you were like on a tanker, or if you had a truck that you needed to rev to make the PTO work, that's where you can turn that up so it's pumping. See, it's still actually up if I just press it off. There we are, it's gone off again. You've just got to watch you don't catch that by mistake, especially when you're reversing. Sometimes it speeds up too much when you don't want it to. Let's turn this light on. Light there. We've got the digital tacho. We're tacho exempt, so we don't need to have a tacho in. That's the print where the printout. I'll just rip that off. So what you'd normally do here, let's just see if we can go back. I can never just, there we are. So it's got the time, it's got the kilometres that we've done, the speed that we're doing now. Slot number 1 is where your driver card would go. Slot number 2 is where the second man, or the second driver I should say, would put his card or their card, so that if this shows that they sat in the vehicle. So you can't have a daily rest, but you can have a break. You know, if you haven't learned the difference between rest and break, it's basically rest is overnight and break is during the day, generally when you're still on duty but you're having a break. So you'd put your card in. Let me just see if I can find my card now. Just have a look in my wallet. Driving license, driver card. There we are. So we have got my name, obviously. I won't give you too many details. I've probably given you all them details now actually, but I'll blank that out. You've got your face and you've got your chip there, so you basically put the arrow, which is there, and the chip, and you put that into the card. I'm not going to put it in now because it'll just confuse everything. You put the card in, that'll read it, comes up your name, and then it comes up you know, that you're ready to drive and think, oh, you answer some questions about you in the UK and stuff like that, so you answer all them. You can press number 1. That's going to change that setting there. See how it's showing as rest at the moment? Press it again, box, which is for periods of availability, and press it again, it'll go around to crossed hammers, which is for other work. If you're doing other duties, you're sweeping the yard, you're loading the vehicle, you're not resting, you haven't got a period of availability. It will automatically turn to driving as soon as the vehicle starts to move. As soon as it sees some kilometres coming up there, it will automatically do all that. And then you just press eject. You've got the back, okay, up and down, but then we just press eject. That would spit the card out. It takes a moment to process it, nearly a minute sometimes, just to process all the information, so that all the information's on there. That's the bumper mirror that looks down to the floor, so you can see there that you can see if somebody's walking, or if you're trying to negotiate into a tight gap, you can see if you're going to hit something. Same in that mirror there, that's looking down to the curb. You can see the shape of the blue wheel arch there. Alright, then you've got a wide angle mirror there, sorry, the window's down so you can just see a little bit better. Obviously this is your main mirror, that's your extra wide angle. We've got that set up so we can see from the driver's side, so it is set up slightly wrong for the driver, and we use the left top mirror up there as well, so we can see what's happening. Obviously windows up and down. You've also got heated mirrors, so feel free to switch them on. The only thing I don't like about these is they don't switch themselves off, so if it dries up you need to remember to turn it off. It'll stay on. Sometimes I get in and they've been left on for days, you know, with other instructors, other drivers. so make sure you switch that off when you don't need it. So the gearbox, what have we got? Sorry, I'm covered in grease, I've been doing some jobs. We're in neutral. So we're in neutral. I'll take my cap off and then I can kind of show you. We're in neutral there. We've got drive, D, which puts us on the dash as 1A. Let me turn that off. That's the little, yeah, that's off now. That was the exhaust brake, remember. So it's going to go up into, it's in 1A, alright. You can put it in to tortoise mode. So it's now gone into 1 tortoise. So that's to really delicate manoeuvring. If you're on a steep hill maybe, you can do that. Let's put it back to neutral, and then we're back in neutral there. Now let's put it into reverse. Reverse. Alright, easy. You don't need to press your brake pedal like on an automatic car. Also got turtle there as well for a delicate manoeuvring there. You can also switch it into manual, and you can go up and down the gears, but in this 6-speed automatic you don't need to tend to bother with that. Sorry, let's have a look at me. Yeah, so these automatic trucks, they're different to automatic cars, well, old automatic cars. There is a computer, let me turn that off now. There's a computer and a robot that works them. It's a manual gearbox with a computer and a robot that works it for you. When you press the accelerator, that's just like clutch biting, it starts it to go. So you then let your handbrake off, you just pull that up to release it, and then handbrake back on again. Okay. Yeah, so these automatics, you don't need to press the foot brake to engage the gear, it will do it anyway. But you can press it if you want, it doesn't make any difference. Like I said, no clutch pedal. You do have to, if you just can see that warning sign there, warning, automated gearbox. Select gear, only release parking brake once the accelerator has been depressed, otherwise the vehicle will roll backwards. It will roll backwards. A lot of automatic cars, they hold, you know, you're in drive, you let the handbrake off and they just hold there, and sometimes they just creep forward a right little bit. This will roll backwards on a hill, so you need to make sure that you're just giving it a little bit of gas, handbrake off, away you go. Always make sure that you're in gear, always look at the control. People have failed the driving test because they've parked up, put it into neutral, and then because you haven't got anything to do, it's easy to forget about the gearbox, and it's easy to forget to put it in drive. So always look on your computer display before you move off, before you release that handbrake. Sometimes you may have clicked it into drive, but it hasn't engaged properly. You know, when you're trying to get you've got a car, you won't just go in gear. That can happen with this as well. So you've just got to keep an eye on everything. Generally, all right. They're quite good. These DAFs. They don't tend to have many problems with the gearbox, to be honest. All right. I think I've shown you everything I wanted to show you. If you haven't done anything, you know, if you want to become a truck driver and you haven't done anything about it yet, feel free to give us a ring. We really do help everybody. We can book your medicals, even wherever you live in the country. We can find a doctor's near you that works through our booking system. We can book theory tests near where you live, and then we can do the driving as well. So don't be frightened of getting in touch. Have a look on our website, which is benshawtraining.co.uk. We've got all the information on there, all our prices are on there, and yeah, a lot more information. Alright, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are trying to build up the subscriptions, and we're trying to put more and more videos on. I know this is a long, boring video. It's for people that have no idea about trucks. That's what it's all about, and you've got a lot to learn, and hopefully this video will have helped you. Alright, thanks for watching. Drive safe.